There is a podcast about an island in the North Atlantic where people have been looking for an incredible treasure for more than 200 years.
Hello and welcome back to Could It Be?
An Oak Island podcast.
We are your hosts, Deidre and Dustin White.
Hey, what's up?
What's up?
Good to see you.
It's
good to be here.
It's good to talk some Oak Island.
It is.
Per usual.
Yes. And so right now, what we're doing is we're going to chat and recap season 8, episode 21, Off the Railing, which premiered in the United States a week ago.
Aired. I think that's probably.
Yeah, and premiered. But a week ago.
Yeah.
And was shown in Canada day before yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So we're kind of like on the Canada schedule.
We're on Canada trend.
Yeah. So anyway, we're here to talk about all the fun stuff that happened in an exciting episode. Lots of swamp action.
Mm-hmm.
And Smith's Cove action. Say what?
Yeah. So we visited the cove.
Yeah.
And then we went back to the swamp. I figured we would finish talking about the swamp like at the end of our episode, because that's where this episode ends.
So let it be written.
So let it be done. Is that the right thing? Yeah. Okay, well,
before we get into it,
I
do want to say, I want to give a quick shout out real quick.
A shout it.
I want a real quick shout out real quick.
You want a real quick? Are you going to shout it?
No. Because I don't want to hurt anybody's ears.
But are you going to do it quick?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
All right. So last night we had Oak Island trivia. We don't usually talk about it the day after because we usually record on a different day. But we did have Oak Island trivia last night for this episode. And I just want to give a special shout out to Jeff S. and Janet G. They're the winners. Mm-hmm. They won fabulous Oak Island prizes last night. Also, Ruth S. and Trisha M. They won Oak Island trading cards. So well done.
Well done.
And if you want to be cool like those people, join us on Mondays at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern for Oak Island Trivia. Just wanted to throw that out there at the top of the show.
Yeah, we like seeing you guys show up. And you know what? Steve is going to write some questions for trivia for next week.
Are they going to be hard?
I bet you they're all math questions.
Well, I did a math question last night, so maybe he's like, no, I'll show him.
He's like, that's not math. That doesn't even count.
It was basic addition.
He's gonna be asking you probably about the elevations of the island.
Maybe.
He's probably gonna wanna have you calculate or triangulate. Maybe he's gonna make you guys do the work he needs to do.
There you go. And he's like,
let's put them to work. No, I thought that was really great that he stopped in, said hi, and we were teasing like, hey, write some questions. He's like, I'll do it. So haha, Steve, you're on the hook. Can't wait. So that is for next week.
If you wanted to come and join us at Oak Island Trivia, do it, because you might rub shoulders with like a huggy guppy, Sir Stephen Guptill.
So
and
I guess you'd be rubbing shoulders with him if you were like hugging him.
Digital shoulders.
Yeah, hugging.
All right. Yeah. So and other people show up too sometimes. Like we get Tony, we get Scott. I think Laird's popped in there once.
Yep.
So all right, let's talk about the episode,
A?
Well, we're doing the Canada thing, so I figure I throw in an A.
Oh, okay. Sure. I mean, we do the Canada thing every week. Okay, so that being said, Smith's Cove is on the table. I know. I missed you, friend. Let's go do the thing.
Well, you like channel Smith's Cove at home. Like you have U-shaped structures everywhere.
I do. I have a U-shaped structure.
She like builds her side of the bed as a U-shaped structure.
I do, actually. I have a pillow of U-shaped structures. Yeah, so I go into bed and I like nuzzle into
She's got like a little U-shaped fort.
I do. And then I've got my U-shaped garden bed. So I should try some red dye this year and see if that makes a difference, makes them grow better. I don't know.
Red dye?
Yeah.
Secret recipe?
Written in code? Could it be? Yeah. Okay.
All right, so we had Steve and Rick driving down the road towards Smith's Cove, and they need to meet up with the sonic drilling folks, including Terry and Charles that are always out there doing their due diligence.
They are. They're running, they're hanging out with the drill rig like 24/7, literally.
Maybe not 24/7.
Okay.
They get time to eat and sleep and stuff.
Well, maybe they sleep on the table. Maybe.
I don't think so. Steve tells Rick that he has pinned them the dead center of the location over, the Behringer survey plot point, and he's very confident that there was a non-ferrous target right there, right where he pinpointed them.
Well, I guess he wasn't confident. That's how I wrote it. But they were saying that he said that on the Behringer survey, that's where they felt was the most likely or highest non-ferrous target.
It is.
So we put them right in the middle of the big old square. And the Behringer survey is what we heard about at the beginning of this season, right?
Yeah, something that Doug Kroll had found in Dan Blankenship's archives.
Yep.
And he's going over everything with a fine-tooth comb. And it was something that Dan Blankenship and David Tobias, formerly of Oak Island Tours, both of them together, they had commissioned this scan or this survey, and it was in the late 80s. And we're not sure if they actually found anything, but they
they didn't follow up.
They couldn't. They didn't have the funds.
Funds always seem to be an issue, right? That's why there's a budget, but then there's always permitting, and you run out of time on your permits.
Funds are no issue for the History Channel now.
Well,
Maybe a little bit of an issue, but not much.
You will have an issue if you don't run on a budget and you just start spending stuff willy-nilly. That's why there's a budget. Is that called
400 boreholes?
Well, if they were in the budget, sometimes you have to move the budget from, say, Smith's Cove to some additional boreholes. That's why there's an agenda for each year. There's an agenda and a budget so you don't go bankrupt.
Yeah, but they just need to do Steve's
I love Steve's idea. Steve's hole. 200
Steve's giant hole. 200 feet wide.
And then what was it, like 200? No, wait. Did he say 300? No, it was like 200 by 250 or something ridiculous.
Yeah, and that's what needs to happen. That will definitely get to the bottom
ridiculous.
of it.
Good job.
It'll get
Steve.
to the bottom of it.
It literally
will.
There's no option. Anyway, so they show up and Steve has brought an overview, aka a map, with a grid from all the work that they did in Smith's Cove before.
Yep.
I was excited to see a map so I can update my giant master plan map.
It was really funny when Steve showed up in one of our live streams and he saw the map that you had made.
Yeah.
And because you were, I think it was on a pregame, right?
Yeah, he showed up on a pregame.
Yeah, and then he's like, "What? How did you get my map?" And Dietrich's like, "No, this is my map."
I was like, I made a hit. I think I may have given him a heart attack or something because he was like, how did they hack into my computer? No, I legit did what is equal to copying off Steve's paper during a homework assignment or like a test. And his is going to be way better than mine.
Yours is pretty detailed, though. It's pretty impressive.
It is. It's a continuing.
Very good for an amateur.
Pretty good for someone that doesn't know fully what they're doing. Yeah. But yes, pretty good for an amateur.
Yeah. So doing the work at the Behringer survey targets, the depth is 80 to 100 feet.
Yes.
And Terry says that he is referring to this hole as non-ferrous target 1 or NF1.
Yep.
They're currently only at 68 feet when they get there, but then there's like a commercial break and some stuff. They do come back. They come back, and at that point, they are.
Come on, where to go on my notes?
I don't see it.
It's in here.
It's not, but they come back and guess what? They didn't find anything. They had hit some kind of
right here, Smith's Cove. So we come back, and
we're still talking about NF1. That says NF2. So NF1, that's when everybody's down there. Like Rick is down there. They have the whole crew, and even Brennan from Choice Sonic Drills was down there. And they're looking closely at the spoils they're bringing up from that between 80 and 100 foot depth. And it was it wasn't good material that would have been tunneling material to get through. And so they decided to call the hole, and that was it.
Move on
to the next.
Yeah.
Which was the NF2.
Yes.
That they did go on to. And everybody left except for good old Terry and Charles and the folks digging from choice. So they are monitoring the dig of NF2. Charles asks
Here it is.
Colton, he's one of the diggers, and the other one's Mike Tedford, what their most recent depth is, and he responds to Charles, letting him know that they're at 134 feet on NF2 at this point already, and that's like below their target depth anyway.
So sorry, I had mislabeled my notes as swamp when it's Smith's Cove over here. So this is my fault. And I just wanted to touch on the fact that because you wouldn't have been able to remember all the details.
Yep.
So when they come and they're
back to NF1.
NF1. So they're at 79 feet, and that's when they hit the hard clay till.
Yep.
And yada yada. We're all like, yeah, let's call this. Move on to the next one.
Yep.
And Rick goes on to say that they're all interested in this non-ferrous target, right? It's exciting, but to him, it makes sense to do a tunnel. Like, why wouldn't we want to confirm a tunnel? So they don't go very far from where they're at right now on the non-ferrous target because there was a tunnel running right beside it, which you see on the map with Steve's overview with the overlay of the Behringer survey. So they say, hey, let's put a pin in it right here. And Rick tells Steve to get his GPS and get to work so that they can move the rig because apparently, it's very expensive to run.
Oh yeah. Well, if each hole is costing them up toward $20,000, yeah, it's expensive.
Yeah, and Steve says, "Come on, did I get it?
Press it one time.
I'll grab my GPS."
I did, but then it didn't stay, and then I had to
hold it. You press it twice.
Well, you pressed it twice, and now he's like, "I'm gonna get my GPS."
And I'm thinking,
oh yeah, girl.
Oh, Aaron, we heart you.
We'll never get tired of that.
Sorry, no, bro. I can't wait to play it for him on his interview. He's gonna say something. We'll be like, "Oh yeah, girl."
Are you sure you want to do that?
Yes.
Because then he's gonna be like, "Well, I think this interview's done."
Nah, I think he likes our shenanigans.
Okay, good. All right, so we do move on to borehole NF2, like I had already mentioned, and it's 15 feet away from the first attempt. And they are down at a depth of 134 feet at this point, so they're already well past their target. And Terry looked at the core, and he and Charles, and Terry says that to him it's just a continuation of a fracture. He says that it's gypsum material falling back into the fracture. Unfortunately, it's nothing in Mother Nature, or it's nothing but Mother Nature, and it's definitely not a tunnel.
Yeah.
Wah, wah.
Which is to say, is this tunnel actually just a crack in the limestone, and that's what's shown up on the Behringer survey? Maybe, maybe not. We don't know. And we're gonna put a couple more holes in order to confirm that either way.
So we'll put a pin in it again.
Put a pin in it.
Yeah. So and Terry says that the lack of artifacts and this type of geology says that they can probably just stop what they're doing. And so that's like, putting a pin in it. Clotworthy goes on to say that since Terry has identified a fracture in the geology below, does that mean that it would explain? Oh, that's kind of what you just said.
Yeah.
In a different way, because this is Clotworthy.
Yeah, this is Clotworthy saying
that. But he said that, that could possibly explain the tunnels on the Behringer survey. Maybe, maybe not. But, yeah, I mean, even if that's the case, that's not explaining the signals of non-ferrous metals like gold and silver. So,
and I know Rick mentions that, but then let's think about this for a second. What other non-ferrous metals could there be? We know, so that's something that's not magnetic, right? It doesn't have iron in it, so it's not a bunch of cast iron pans down there. There was a lead cross. Lead's non-ferrous, if I remember correctly. So what if these artifacts are something not gold and silver, or there's just more of something that's not gold or silver?
Yeah, well, precious non-ferrous metals include gold, silver, platinum, and there's exotic rare metals such as cobalt, mercury, tungsten, beryllium, bismuth, and some other stuff. I don't know if I
Also,
should even try
tin.
to
It could be a bunch of tin cans.
pronounce, but yeah, mm,
I.
aluminum, copper,
Mhm.
zinc. So yeah,
It just made me think.
it could be a lot of things.
One of the big finds that everybody's very excited about is the lead cross, and the lead is also a non-ferrous item.
Is it?
Yes. If I thought lead was a non-ferrous metal. It's super soft. So it just got me to thinking, yeah, we're all excited about gold and silver, but I don't think it's a bunch of tin cans, but you never know. Maybe ancient tin cans.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, so non-ferrous metals aren't metallic because they don't contain significant amounts of iron. Aluminum, lead, copper, tin, zinc, and brass are all non-ferrous.
Well,
so there you go.
Brass, that was that knob that came out of the swamp.
Yes.
So we've seen both of those non-ferrous items come up.
Yeah.
Just a thought.
Yeah, it's hard to remember all those off the top of your head, but because I had, we've obviously looked through those lists many times.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So Rick reminds us that time and weather are working against the team here, and so they have a lot on the search agenda. So basically, we're going to move on.
Yeah, we need to move on, make some decisions, and we have a war room right after that.
Yeah, but I'm thinking so long, Smith's Cove. It was fun to spend 10 minutes there this season.
You know what?
Yeah.
On the next time on.
And so they're back from outer space.
It's hard to tell if that's exactly where they are, but I think it is. And they get really excited about the choice sausage that comes out, and they're all like, whoa, what's in there?
Yeah, but in the war room, didn't they agree to move on?
Yeah, but I think it was hard to say definitively because Rick said, give us a couple days to get some research together, and then we'll move on. Maybe they threw a couple holes down while they were doing research to figure out where to go next in the money pit.
Well, let's talk about it, because at that war room, Rick and Doug are in the research center, which is a little bit weird because Rick's usually manning the war room. But Craig, Marty, Jack are in the war room, and they're discussing the results from that sonic drill, like we had mentioned in Smith's Cove, and what to do next. And Doug lets them know that they had no gold or precious metals on the table at all.
Sad that they didn't have anything to bring them.
Nothing, yeah. He does go on to explain that they took 2 shots, and in order to do this area justice, they would need to do at least 16 holes to cover it completely.
And Craig's like, yeah.
And I think Marty's probably like, oh, my pocketbook, ouch.
Yeah, but he even said, well, we want to get it on the first try. And there was a shot here that maybe we could put 2 holes down and get something shiny out of it.
Yeah, well, the first try doesn't usually pan out. So
I think what was his quote? He says, "This is a treasure hunt after all. Of course we're going to try." Yeah. That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, Doug does note that the silver lining in this might be that they're still able to repeat this process after they get out of the pandemic.
Maybe even while we're still in a pandemic, Doug. Because right now we are, and we know it's getting time for them to go back to the island. So
yeah, this was probably recorded in October of last year. So. Yeah, we're still there, Doug. We're getting through it though.
We're all hanging on, and we're still rooting for you.
Yep. All right. So Rick and Doug say that they don't think that they can put an X through this yet, of course, and that these targets will still be there, or could still be there, and the door is not closed on this yet.
Yep. And then Rick says, they need to do their homework.
Doug.
Duh.
No, I said Doug.
Oh, duh. Doug, get to work.
Doug.
Doug, go do the homework.
Rick's like, we need to do homework. And he probably just looks straight at Doug. Like, that's you. That's your task, buddy.
Yeah, research center. That's AKA homework room. So yeah, Doug, get to work. But the door remains open to duplicating the survey, or maybe they just set up and drill on it, but it's on the back burner for now because they have things they need to chase now.
I mean, they could almost set up in the same spot, and they're gonna, get to a different endpoint at the bottom. That's because that's the way that those kind of boreholes work. So Marty asks what they're going to do with the drilling rig in the meantime, and Doug says, he thinks that they should bring it back up to the money pit and look at the grid and see if there's some unexplored space. And everyone agrees and says, I guess that's a pretty good idea, I suppose.
Because they still have the original grid. The drilling plan or grid that Craig and the team had put together, and which is constantly changing based off of the results that they get. And I'm like, okay, let's look at what makes the most sense for what's left.
They're slowly running out of unexplored areas.
Yeah, and
but
they're in.
The problem with that is you see those maps that they bring up, and all these boreholes, they drift left, they drift right, they drift back, they drift forward, because you can never get it straight down.
You can't. And even so, Steve had said currently, which is probably why they're still using sonic drilling on those holes, if the walk on them is only like 3 or 4 feet, which is really good compared to what they've had with the other types of drills in the past. So at least they're getting a lot more. But we saw that 3D model at the beginning of the year, and at a certain depth, they all disappear. And if we're really thinking it's deeper, on the flip side, it blows my mind that we were chasing a tunnel so shallow. So I don't know.
I don't know either. And what you just said reminded me of something else they talked about at the beginning of the season. A cofferdam at the swamp. That never showed up.
No, but it was such a dry year. And
I know. It was off topic anyway.
It was off topic, but they're finding so much there. I mean, once we get to swamp, I mean, they could have put a sheet piling straight through something that was important, and they said, let's hold off.
Well, I bet Marty's like, yes, $1 million saved.
$1 million saved, $1 million earned.
At least so far.
It helps with the budget.
Yeah.
That helped towards the boreholes that they did on the non-ferrous targets, is they didn't have to do the cofferdam. Yeah. You trade the cofferdam for the boreholes. I
swear I remember Oak Island from the other side of the causeway posting some kind of images of cofferdam material going over that causeway, though.
Yeah.
I remember it like in October.
We still have a few episodes left.
Well, so you're saying there's still a chance?
I'm saying there's still a chance.
Or a silver lining?
A silver lining. Oh, Marty.
Oh, speaking of, Marty says to Doug, the next time you are discussing that we're all discussing these results, will you please not use the term silver lining?
Yeah, I was thinking when Doug said that, I was like, that's kind of messed up, Doug.
Marty said that his heart kind of jumped when he heard silver. Oh, you got me.
Oh, you got me. Aw, poor Marty.
Pretty good stuff.
He survived, though.
All right, so we do have some the swamp. We have to kind of go on the swamp now, because the rest of the stuff is like Carmen Lake, and that's the results of stuff they did at the swamp.
No, so Carmen Lake was.
Oh yeah, you're right.
My bad. There's a shot in the research center where Doug is doing homework, right? And he's going through Dan's archives and he's pulling up different artifacts.
That's right. I forgot.
And he pulls.
How can I forget?
I don't know.
Because I've only seen the episode once, and you've seen it like 5 times.
5 billion different times.
Yeah, that's Marty, Laird, and Doug together at the research center. And like you said, Dan has lots of stuff like archived and almost hidden away.
I mean, almost, but really it's not. It's, organized away, but it's not like he had it all put into a computer system where it was easy to find or look up, and the funds and the time to be able to research everything. I mean, he was a smaller group than what they have now, right? We have like 22 regular cast members right now, plus it's just, so he's got a lot more hands on. We got more hands on deck. And as Doug pulls this out, he's like, this is fascinating, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, okay, here's something. It was a Ziploc bag that indicated that particular artifact Dan had found in the swamp in the 1970s.
Yep.
Oh, what's that? And he opens it, and it definitely looks very intriguing.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody's sure really what
Yeah.
it is.
No, it's a forged piece of metal,
Mhm.
and that's about as good of a guess as they've got. Even Laird, we didn't hear him pontificate.
No, he said, well, it's looks forged. You know, it's got a
Yeah.
lot of
We just
layers.
didn't get a lot from Laird.
No,
We haven't got a lot from Laird in a while. He's been
Laird,
out
we
busy
miss
with
you.
Samuel Ball's
I
stuff,
know.
which is good. I mean, that's his happy place.
It is. It's his happy place, but we still miss him.
We do.
He shows up once in a while to crush some dreams.
He does.
But he leaves it to Aaron and Miriam as well.
They've been doing good.
They've been doing a great job being dream crushers.
Yeah.
But he
Laird's
says,
like, you have learned well, my Padawan.
Right? And he says, hey, I know who you should take this to. And if Laird is saying he knows who you should take it to, you should take it to Carmen.
Carmen Leg. Super Carmen.
Super Carmen.
All right. So let's talk about that trip to Northville Farm.
Okie dokie.
So Doug and Scott are the ones that go out and see Carmen.
Yep.
And, you know, I think Doug has got to be one of the coolest dudes ever.
Oh my gosh.
Like, he is just there sporting his backwards cap. And I'm like, dang, how do you pull that off? I can't pull that off, according to my wife. I wear a backwards cap and she says, wow, that is really bad. Please turn it around.
Yeah.
Please just take it off. I don't care if your hair is like standing up straight. It's way better than a backwards cap.
Well, you try to tell me that you wear your hat straight, but you cock it to the side a little bit. And I'm like, you gotta stop doing that. And you're like, I don't do that. And I catch you doing it all the time.
Yeah, whatever. You know what? Back when I was in high school, so like 1999, 1998, and like I was allowed to wear hats at school. I used to have bleach blonde hair, like I was a Backstreet boy or something, and I had a backwards cap, and I was super cool. Okay.
Yeah, that's what it was. I don't think Doug has bleach blonde Backstreet hair.
He should try it.
It might be, good for him to try in the off season to see if it's his jam.
I'm not going back there myself, so probably don't recommend it.
Yeah, probably not. Anyway, so they have brought him the piece of metal that Dan found in the swamp in the 1970s. And Carmen's like, whoa, that's really unique. And he says it has several layers and it's not iron. And I was like, say what?
Say what?
What is it? But it had to be a softer metal. Non-ferrous, I don't know. I doubt it. But
maybe, who knows? But yeah, maybe not. Maybe, I don't know. I bet you Gary's metal detector would have detected it. That's probably how they found it in the first place. Some kind of old.
I don't say Gary wasn't there.
Not Gary, no. Gary was a wee lad at the time, I'm sure.
Anywho,
he might not have been born yet.
It was made of many layers. So, and Carmen, that would say it's strong. And then, right, he's guessing that it's military and probably off of a cannon.
Yeah, when I first saw it, I thought for sure it was like some kind of like old style axe, because that's what it looked like to me. Because I've seen axes that look like that in video games. Nothing really, I feel like I've seen it in person too, like at one of the museums we've gone to in the past or something. But I don't know. But yeah, it's not.
It's smaller than we initially thought it was.
Yeah, so it's a piece that would probably go on top of a cannon of some sort.
And Carmen thinks at least it would have had to do with explosives, and that the holes in the top would be to help like release the pressure when the cannon went off, when you've got the gunpowder. And he thinks that it's the burnt gunpowder residue on the inside of the holes.
Yeah, I saw somebody post something on one of the Facebook groups that had a whole bunch of things that kind of looked like this thing. I don't remember what it was, though. Like, I don't know. It wasn't a part of a cannon, though. It was part of something mundane. But, I mean, that doesn't mean that this isn't what Carmen thinks it is. But, Carmen's just making an educated guess. It doesn't mean he's right every time either.
It doesn't mean he's wrong either.
Doesn't mean he's wrong.
So. I found this sweet book on history stuff.
Shut up. You have a history book?
Yeah, I know. And it like folds out to this giant.
Oh yeah, it is pretty epic.
Yeah, it is. Maybe we'll bring it to pregame. But it has specifically in there in the early to mid of 1400s with cannons when they were first started to be used.
Mhm.
And I was like, "Oh, spot on, Carmen. Very nice."
Yeah. So, what episode did they have that thing that Scott unfolded on the table? What were they? Who were they talking to in the war room?
What do you mean? What he
You know that-
unfolded?
Yeah. You know that history thing that was unfolded.
Oh,
you know, like the
that
book
was
you got?
Doug, not Scott. But
Oh,
yeah,
that was and that was about the
serpents.
the serpent mounds.
Mhm.
Yeah. So Deidre found something like that, but it's a lot more modern.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's pretty sweet. So maybe
but it starts back, before Noah's Ark.
yeah, Deidre will bring it on to pregame tonight.
Yeah.
At 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. If you want to come and join us on facebook.com/OakIslandPodcast.
It'll be a good time.
Yeah. And if you missed it, and if you're listening to this as a podcast like the next day or something,
It's okay.
well, go back and check us out on Facebook, and then you can find it.
Yes.
And I'm
Do
sure we
that.
had a good time.
I'm sure we did. We always do.
Yep.
And
Anywho,
Gunpowder, we already talked about that, and that he's saying that weapons like this, or with that type of forging, would go back to middle 1400s. And Scott and Doug look very happy, very pleased with themselves.
yeah, isn't Doug like hearing that date a lot?
Yeah, he is. And you're right, Doug.
Yeah, and so they go then and take the artifact back to the research center and meet up with Marty there, Doug and Scott, and they report their findings from the item and what Carmen Lake had to say about it. Marty seems kind of shocked.
Yeah, gobsmacked even.
Yeah, that it would be part of a cannon, and asks how it's associated with the cannon. Scott explains of how you would put the wick in and the hole, and basically
how a cannon works.
Yeah, and what Carmen said.
Yeah. And he got to relay the information to Mark, but he does seem shocked. He's like, how is this part of a cannon? Let's see. We have cannon balls. We have cannon legs, cannon other parts,
wick holder
thing,
whatever.
Pressure releaser. Can we get a barrel?
I don't know. There's lots like the Karen, the gal that lives across from Oak Island. She's got cannons out on her front of her property. Maybe those cannons went with that.
Maybe it's in the bottom of the swamp, because Carmen asked where the rest of it was, and Doug suggests that maybe it's still down there. Maybe it is. Maybe that's what one of the things Billy's banging the shovel on.
Could it be?
Could it? Maybe.
It could. So Marty says that they need to get it into the hands of an armaments expert, because if it can be verified, then that is a really big clue. And Marty says to what? Go find the rest of the cannon.
Yeah.
And call me back.
Right. Call me back when you find the rest of it. We're working on it, Marty. We found obviously pieces to this cannon. And if this is such a large puzzle,
Marty, baby steps. We'll get there.
He's like, I've taken too many baby steps.
All right. So now heading to the stinky,
brackish
swamp bog.
The keeper of secrets, as Rick points out, even though I thought that was Poussin and I thought it was Charles, but Charles has been relieving secrets. Revealing, not relieving.
Yeah, but it's definitely Charles. I'm just saying. It's on his trading card and everything. All right, so we're at the swamp. This is at the top of the episode.
Yes.
And they're near the northeastern corner, like Tom Nolan's backyard.
Yeah, they're in Tom's backyard. So Miriam, Alex, and Aaron are out there digging.
Dig.
It's what they like to do. Digging on the stone road.
Yep. Miriam's kind of, I don't know. She seems like she's a point person.
And she was saying that it'd be really nice if they could find another artifact in this area, saying it, definitively, yes, this is the stone path. Yes, it's headed uphill. She's kind of trying to interpret the land and the stones and all that good stuff. She's saying, also goes on to say, this is the first time we've had an actual definitive curve in the road. Like all season, we've been talking about, could it?
The curve. Maybe.
When is it going to branch off?
When's it going to turn? And they had to go all the way up to Tom Nolan's backyard to find it.
Yep. So right now, Tom's the spot to turn.
Tom's like, I played here my entire life.
Right? I think I brought some of those rocks inside. That's just crazy.
Yeah.
And anyways, everybody's talking. They all decide that they should have the berm, which is like they're right up against, probably pulled back some so they can get down to the stones that appear to be running underneath and upland, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Billy shows up.
Billy!
And so does Gary and David, because they got a metal detect to make sure that no artifacts are there, and they start by digging Billy's spoils as he gets to going. And let's see here.
They do find something.
Yeah, Aaron tells him to pull back about 2 buckets worth. Okay. Very precise.
And then Billy makes it so.
And he makes it so. And he gives the spoils to Gary and David.
Yep. And they start scanning and they find something.
A button.
A button?
Could it be?
Yeah. And so it's like a cuff button. And Gary said it looked military. He also said it looked like there's some defined decorations on it.
Mm-hmm.
And so with all of that, they'll be able to at least trace it to where it's from originally. Mm-hmm. So that's quite good.
Yeah. It had a lot of detail on it. I was surprised at how much was in there, but I guess if it's down that deep, it's not like it's going to get oxidized and have the water run over it to erode stuff away, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So yeah, let's see here. So then after they talk about the button, Rick shows up.
Yes.
And he's at the swamp and he wants to check things out. And he's like, "Hey, is Gary over there? Gary, get down here and scan down here."
Yeah. Right? Let's make it easier. It's going to be easier to scan here, and then instead of doing up on the hill.
Yeah. And so he starts scanning and he gets another hit, and Miriam's just like right there, and she's like, "Oh, let me pick that up for you."
Yeah, here, why not? She gets out her trowel.
Yeah.
And
you know what was kind of funny though? She like gets it in her hand and then she immediately gives it to Gary. And I'm thinking, aren't you you're the archaeologist? It's just fun. It's like a reflex, like maybe she's watched the show so much every time someone picks something up, they just give it to Gary.
Yeah, maybe. And I think one of the archaeologists, like when it's something actually found in like the stone pathway or whatever, they need to dig it out. And that's probably, the situation, especially since, I mean, if there's an archaeologist right there, you might as well, especially when they have a trowel handy. Trowel team go. And yeah, so it looks like a latch, right?
It's something. Gary called it a fire grate latch, which could potentially be very old. It looks like cast iron, it's like it's old stuff.
Well, we've found it would make sense that there be multiple fires along this road while they're working, or the fact that they found pieces to a potbelly stove for a ship right earlier
that was over
season.
By the anchors, right?
Yeah, it was when they were searching for that other potential anchor stone.
Yeah, that
Steve and Doug
Aaron Helton had set, with her triangulation of things.
Yeah, and that was right close to the swamp. And then we know that Fred Nolan had found in a spoils pile upland pieces to a potbelly stove. So it could be that this thing got smashed, or there's multiple of them, and that's why we're finding pieces. I mean, it makes sense, right? Same thing with the cannon. We keep finding pieces of these same type of things. It's like we're reinforcing that story. So.
Right, so they go do some other stuff. Then they do come back to the swamp, of course.
Of course.
Doug is there. Aaron, Rick, Miriam are all digging and clearing off the stone road. Doug says, "Man, there's a lot of getting up and down in archaeology."
Rick, as he under his breath, "I'm right there with you, Doug." And I'm thinking, you guys, I hope everybody brought knee pads like Aaron uses.
Maybe we should send Doug and Rick some knee pads as like a
a welcome back to work.
Yeah, I'm sure season 9 gift.
Because think about it, you're working on a stone road and your knees are on these rocks. And
you should see my knees, super calloused from crawling around on
when you
concrete for years. That's what I used to do.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. You become used to it after a while, but it's still
Yeah.
not like
But
pleasant.
you're working these ridiculously long days and up and down and up and down. Yeah, I think those guys need some specialized knee pads.
We should get on it.
Probably
Oak Island
soon.
Acorns.
With our powers combined, knee pads we can send.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe some special ones.
Yeah. So after they talk about that, the getting up and down, Aaron says, 100 years ago, the dig site director would just sit in a chair and people would bring him things to look at. And he's like,
and he's thinking,
I wish I was around during those days.
Right? And Miriam, it's not going to happen, Aaron.
That was.
Oh, yeah, girl.
That was funny.
That was. I was like, good one, Miriam.
But like literally the next second, Miriam says, "Oh, I found something here, Aaron. Take a look." And she just takes it right to him. Like she just did the exact thing that she said she wasn't going to do.
It's just
not going to happen, Aaron. Oh wait, here it is.
But I guess Aaron's just not sitting in a chair. He's the only one allowed to have knee pads.
It was funny.
Yeah, it's absolutely hilarious.
Oh gosh, yeah, it was good stuff, and yeah, what she found was some kind of like it looked like flint material or something that could be a part of a musket, right? And so, Plotworthy does a little bit of a overview about such a thing.
Yes.
And yeah, don't know. It could have been from the 1600s and could have been American Revolution, French Revolution, British. Who the heck knows? They all use that kind of stuff.
Because they all use that type of stuff. And so we would expect it to come from any of them. But we've got British connections here. We've got French connections here. We can't pin it down to anybody. At this point, it looks like it's both and everybody. How many military things have been found on this island, especially buttons off of uniforms?
They find French military stuff, British military stuff, like every year. I mean, it's like it's like not abnormal to find anymore.
No, so. It's really not.
Yeah. So we do have another commercial break or whatever, and then we come back to the swamp. Gary, David, Rick, Miriam, Alex, and Aaron are working once again. Gary's metal detecting and comes up with a piece of pottery.
Yeah. Aaron says that it's a piece of a transfer print ware and says that it dates quite early.
Deidre's like, lick it.
That was my first response. Is he going to lick it?
You're a weirdo.
I know, but it's funny because he totally tried to.
It's stuck.
Yeah. Probably early 1760s. And Gary asks Aaron if it's native to the area. And he says, no, it would be French. Of course. Of course.
Why not?
You got a 50-50 shot. Are we French or British?
Ancient French pottery?
Written in code. And then I think to myself, okay, here's a piece of it. Where's the rest? Like, is it in the bottom of the brackish swamp? Because if this is indeed a wharf or whatever, and the stone pathway, and you drop something, part of it breaks there, and the rest falls to the bottom.
They go and pick it all up. That's what they did. They cleaned up after themselves.
Well, and
they're careful people.
I was looking at some of the drone shots from the stone pathway, and it's clearly got like bigger rocks on the side and the smaller rocks in the middle, which to me says, trying to keep yourself from falling in the water. But I don't know. I just think that these next couple episodes are probably going to blow our minds.
I was just about to say they're going to be mind blowing.
Yeah.
Say what?
I'm ready for it. I mean, bring it on.
Yeah. So then we do hit the last scene in the swamp later on, and we have Charles hanging out. I was like, Charles in the swamp? I mean, is he abandoning Terry? Like, what's up? Where's Terry?
Abandoned ship. No, he abandoned it for a ship.
Yeah, so Steve was there, Scott, Billy, Doug hanging out with Billy in the excavator, and they're doing some scooping action.
Yeah, Doug was co-pilot, which was obviously a good thing.
Yeah, Steve's over there directing Billy where to dig at the southern border of the swamp. Then we get the sound clip.
Oh, yes. And he says,
I'll grab my GPS.
because apparently what they're doing, what Marty and Rick are saying is get to work and figure out where's the bottom of this thing, right?
We need to get to the bottom of it.
Literally. And they're going. So Steve says to Scott and Charles that they're going to dig a long trench or like a cross section in the swamp. And it's to help them see if there was a spot deep enough in the swamp to bring in a small boat or a small ship and be able to dock it by the paved area, which we remember from last year. Right. And in my map extravaganzas, so I was looking at the swamp anomaly, the ship-shaped anomaly, and
SHIP.
could it be? Let's not dork around it. And the paved area, and they literally butt up right next to each other. Those anomalies, like what would be the tip of the ship, goes right up next to it. So it makes sense that they'd be saying, okay, realistically, even though we did the cores from before, we were hoping for wood. We didn't pull up what we needed at the time. But
they gave up too early.
They did.
Too quickly.
They did.
Sorry, guys.
But it's okay. It's okay.
They're here now.
Yes, they're here now. And saying, is it realistic? Could we go down deep enough that you could even get a ship in here, hence the ship-shaped anomaly? Or are we just looking at something else altogether?
Wasn't the ship-shaped anomaly like 50 feet deep estimated? And they're scraping
at one
stuff.
Portion.
And what they're scraping in this episode was at like a 10 to 11 feet deep.
Yes, but we have to remember at 10, 11 feet deep, you're not really getting solid material.
Are they already below sea level in the swamp?
Well,
I don't remember.
When Steve puts, and it's in here, when Steve puts his GPS into the hole and he does reach the bottom, which, let's see here, what do they say? The bottom, the hard pan of the swamp, he's 10 feet below in that one spot, not when they hit the ship.
So is that 10 feet below sea level, or just 10 feet below like whatever is above him?
I believe it's 10 feet below sea level. Okay. Is my understanding. And they're just trying to see how deep the bottom of the swamp, where the hard pan is, right? Because that's the goal. Like when they scan the outside of the island and they're trying to see what the shoreline would have looked like had it been an open harbor, which is very possible. And I have all that seismic stuff. Maybe I'll bring that to pregame too. Why not? Okay. We can have all kinds of a ship-shaped discussion. Anywho. So they're trying to do a cross section of the swamp to see how deep it is. Marty explains getting down to the hard pan's really important, and they could potentially be looking for artifacts from when it was a lot deeper and maybe an open to the sea, which means we'd be finding things that sunk to the bottom.
Yes.
So if it fell off your ship, and it's always a bummer when you lose something off the edge of the ship.
It is.
So hopefully, if that was indeed the case and it was that open harbor, you're gonna bring something up.
But these guys, whoever did this, is really tidy. They make Danny Tanner look,
exactly
like slob. Like these guys pick up after themselves and they don't mess around. They do not leave anything behind.
But that's why you're most likely to find something at the bottom closer to the hard pan.
I hear you, but I'm just like I'm not expecting them to find a thing now. Like it's just like
they didn't have like a Tony on standby say, "Hey, I dropped a bowl. Can you go get it at the bottom?"
How do you know?
You're right. I don't know, because you never know. What classic Oak Island. Like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
Yep.
And Billy goes on digging naturally, doing his thing,
and he hits something.
Could it be?
Yes.
Doug asks and assumes that it is the bottom, is the hard pan. It's the sand they've been trying to get to.
And Billy's like, no.
And Billy's like, that's not till. And Doug says, all right, well, how do you explain that? Billy, I don't know, but there's something on the bottom. He's like, how? I can't see. And he's not joking. Maybe he's a jokester.
No, Billy's not joking around.
He's like, I'm not kidding. Like, I'm hitting something, and that is not the till.
Yeah, and so they do, pull up the scoop, and Doug asks, hey, I see something in that.
Mm-hmm.
Does that look like some wood in there? What would there be wood doing in the middle of a boggy, nasty swamp, 10 feet below sea level?
Yeah.
Not supposed to be there, so he kind of jumps out, and he goes and grabs it, and I like how Steve's like, oh, he's getting out.
Yeah.
Like, it's like Doug and Billy are on display at a zoo, and like
in a claw machine.
No, they're just like, okay, they're like wild animals in a zoo.
Okay.
And like Steve's the spectator from the outside watching. He's like, ooh.
Oh, it's coming out of their cave.
Yeah. The lion's about to eat his food or whatever. It's like, it was pretty funny. Like he seemed really excited that he was getting out.
So it must be something really important if he's getting out,
I guess.
And Doug gets out, gets on the little tracks there, and you see him, like, you get this side shot of him sticking his head in the bucket, right? And this epic music starts playing. It's like, oh, and I'm like, oh, something good's gonna happen.
It's gonna be gold.
It's gonna be gold. And I laughed actually when that music kicked in. It really tickled me.
It was like gold.
It was. I mean, it's Oak Island gold. He reached into the bucket and he pulls out what looks like a piece of finished wood.
Yes, like.
Say what?
It was a sanded piece of wood. It was not something that just came off of a tree. It was definitely
wasn't a stick.
Worked.
Yeah, I mean, it was nice.
Yeah.
And then Doug, he says looks like part of a ship's railing, and he just, he kind of chucks it down to him to allow them, like if he's the zoo animal, I guess. He's like, here, you may see a piece of what I'm doing.
I don't know. At that point, he's more like a king throwing it something down and say, hey, okay, peasant, pick it up. I found this. I'm the king. You get a look at my spoils.
I know. And Steve, like, kind of he
just jumps at it.
No, he's like about to, but Scott beats him.
Oh,
like Scott gets ahead of him, and he's just standing there like, okay, I wasn't trying to. I wasn't excited.
I'm cool.
I wasn't excited. You were excited.
Yeah, Scott, you're the peasant, not me.
Go get it.
Get it, Scott.
Bring that to me. Me and my GPS, so I know where to mark it.
Hearts for Scott.
Hearts for Scott. Oh, that was great.
All right, so, yeah, and they think, well, maybe that's part of a ship's railing.
Yeah.
So Billy tells Steve and Scott and Charles that he's on top of something and he can't get down to the sand. Scott gives Steve a look,
a grin. They're both thinking, like, because it goes from Scott to Steve on the pan, and they're like, a ship in the swamp.
So we've been waiting for. Like, what this is so typical Oak Island.
Yeah.
So typical. Okay, so 5 years ago,
yes.
Charles says, dig here. C1.
Bada bing, bada boom.
C1.
Yep.
All right. Oh my gosh. Was that gold? Let's put it on the back burner. We got other things to worry about.
Yeah, gold. I mean, it was a gold shiny thing, but it wasn't like, we don't know.
Yeah, but 5 years later, we're back to C1.
Circle around.
Yep. And then we have 3 years ago, we have seismic testing shows something like looks like a ship, and they do a couple of probes and like, meh, let's move on to something else. No. And now they're back.
Well, it's like Tony discovering the rocks in season 1. We keep circling back, guys. Circle back.
I know it's hard because they have so many things on their agenda that they need to get to, and
because there's so much going on.
It's just kind of weird. Like they put out that floating barge last season to do, or is it 2 seasons ago to do the
sonic drilling?
Yeah, to see about the ship shape anomaly, and they did like what 2?
No, they did more than that because on the map I have, it shows where they did a full dissection right through the middle.
Oh, okay.
And it was like a horizontal section. So if it's sitting this way,
yeah,
they would have gone this way instead of drilling this way, which makes sense.
Yeah, because you're probably bound to find something.
Yeah, but they didn't go the long length of the ship. Instead, they went horizontally through the center.
It makes more sense to do horizontally through the center, though.
I don't know.
I think it does because if there's something there that runs the entire length, you're bound to hit it. But if there's gaps, then that's a problem. Because then if you only tried one section, and there's gaps there, or I mean, maybe they went through and it was like pulp, and it didn't even come out like wood at that point.
Yeah, the wood would have disintegrated, but now we're finding ship's railing that was down there. So
yeah, but they're looking at the southern portion of the anomaly now, and like you said, like if they would have gone the whole length, they would have had to do like multiple cross sections, I think, but they didn't find anything, and they're like, well, we have all these other things where we think we have a better shot, so let's go back to them. And then it just circles back to this, and it's kind of it's cool, it's good, but it's also a little sad because it's like, oh, you could have had some cool stuff and more progress on this before, but then they would have had less progress somewhere else. So it's a double-edged sword.
Talked about this a little bit, but I was saying I think that potentially the ship-shaped anomaly could also be something like that would be made of stone or whatever. Well, when they were doing those cores, they kept hitting like cap rock, and having a hard time getting through. Well, now we're finding all these stone structures. So were they just drilling through like
the stone road, the stone pathway extended?
Maybe, or something else made of stone?
I don't know. They need to just put a cofferdam around the entire swamp and excavate the entire thing.
Yeah. Well, last year they didn't have enough material to be able to get that cofferdam soon enough. So they do have, a little bit more lead time here. So maybe they'll be able to move material sooner.
It's one of the main roads on the island, though, that is on the southern border of the swamp.
Yeah, but there's other ways to go around. I'm sure they can figure out the logistics, and maybe they won't cut into that part.
Maybe.
I mean, I could just sit here and speculate all day, but we won't. Let's move forward.
Let's move forward. So, Clotworthy does do a recap of the seismic,
results,
studies in the swamp, and Billy, in shorts, of course, climbs down to take a look at inside the bucket with Doug, and they find another piece of this railing or whatever.
Right.
And then I'm sure Billy threw it down saying, no, now I am the king, you peasants.
No, he hung on to it.
I know, I'm just teasing.
He's like, this is mine.
And this is my top pocket.
That's right.
Pretty good stuff. And so Scott calls Rick to come check this out. Rick appears rather quickly with Gary and David Frenetti.
Yeah, he seems to be hightailing it with people in tow. I mean, naturally.
Yeah. So they give it to Rick, let him take a look. And he says, well, I think this is the guy to take a look at it. And he hands it to Gary. And Gary says, it looks like a finished piece of wood. And, it looks like a ship's railing. And what the heck is that doing in a hole in the ground in the middle of a bog?
Yeah, exactly.
So he says it's a good sign they're going to find more.
And that's when Steve does say that they found the wood 10 feet below sea level.
Gotcha.
So that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then Doug and Billy, who look very proud of themselves, standing up on the excavator with huge smiles.
Well, they're the kings at this point.
Right.
They're royalty.
They are. Tell Rick that they're scraping on something and it's not the bottom of the swamp. And Rick looks excited, like he's so excited. And I thought he was going to dive right into that hole. Someone was going to have to hold him back from drinking all the water and diving straight in. He asks if you can see anything in there, and they say, no, Rick. Well, why not?
Because we don't have x-ray vision, Rick.
That was my thought. I was like, Rick, calm down.
Rick, you're the one with the cape on your
why can't we see
on your trading card? You probably have the
it turns into a cofferdam, I'm sure. But I don't even Rick is just like offended that they can't see down there. And he's like, well, thinking, why don't we already have a pump in there? Or why can't we see? Why isn't this happening?
You have to find out what it is.
Exactly.
Doesn't he say something like spare no expense or something? You remember
Oh
that?
yeah, I think I put that.
I don't see that in the notes, but
He says whatever it takes.
yeah, whatever
Seriously.
it takes. Yeah, like legit. I don't care if this costs my brother $1 million.
Yeah.
We're gonna get to the bottom.
He doesn't care. Like I'm serious. Whatever it takes.
Yeah.
And he's thinking, we already ditched the cofferdam. I'm gonna pull some of that.
Yeah, and so he says also that he's really sad right now because it's not 9 a.m. Because if it was 9 a.m., they could really get to the bottom of this, and it's late in the day. So at this point, we got to call it a day.
Thought it was interesting that when Rick asked, like, in relation to the hole, like, how big is it? And Billy says, in relation to the hole, like, it's running the entire length of it. So whatever in that section he's pulled, it's not like there's a break. So it's a continuation.
Hopefully we find a big giant ship in the swamp.
Yeah.
Billy found something, though.
Yeah, Billy.
Uh-oh.
Tough pocket find.
He
well
shoves
done, Billy.
the wood in his pocket and zips it up. Oh my gosh. Billy.
That was pretty good.
Moment of the episode. What a way to close out that episode.
Yeah.
Good job, Bill.
Well done.
Usually Top Pocket finds like a metal object. He's like, I got a piece of railing.
Well,
it's mine.
Well done, the Billster.
Billster. That's
right.
a new one.
And that's it for the episode. Now we have next time on the Curse of Oak Island.
So they're drilling.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Could it be?
It could be.
And it's hard to see exactly where they are, but they're close to water. And to me, it looks like Smith's Cove.
Okay.
And a new choice sausage hits the table.
Okay.
And there appears to be something exciting in it, which I mentioned earlier.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Wow. I think Steve was oh wow and sounded like he was going to fall over.
The holy cow is probably Terry.
Probably that or Scott. Scott's a holy cow kind of guy.
Well, it's not Spooner. He's a holy crow.
Yeah, he's a holy crow. Scott's a holy cow and Spooner's a holy crow. Wow, the animals of the island.
It's the next trading card series.
Animals of the island.
Yeah.
We get a picture of Craig delivering dates in the war room. He's got his happy face on. And he says the artifacts are pre-searcher. And everybody's amazed.
Yeah.
Jack, what was going on here?
Jack, what do you think we've been trying to figure out for like 226 years now?
He like jumps out of his chair practically.
And he's stoked.
I felt like he was about to do laps around the room. Like, yeah.
Cartwheels.
No, I feel like he's more of a laps guy than a cartwheels guy.
I think he'd probably do like back handsprings at length.
He definitely feels like a back handspring kind of guy. Yeah,
I'd
agree with that.
Is that the right terminology?
Yes, back handspring. Yeah, a back handspring is what you're thinking of.
Yeah. So David and Gary pull up a huge piece of iron.
Could it be?
Gary says, "What the heck is that?"
It's huge.
I guess I'll have to go visit Carmen Lake.
Right, and it's got a big old hook on it.
Yeah.
And Aaron is wowed.
Yeah, I guess they don't. Maybe they don't need to take it to Carmen Lake because Aaron says that is very badly burned and part of a ship.
Mm-hmm.
Ding, 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 ding.
Winner, chicken dinner.
Yeah.
That more ship pieces, and it looked like they pulled it out of the swamp.
Yep.
Oh
and
my gosh.
There's also a large timber in the swamp that they're running into. So
yeah, and it's like running horizontal. So
yeah,
it was really big. Like it made me think of Smith's Cove big.
Yeah. Crazy.
Maybe there was a cofferdam there. Maybe it was another U-shaped structure, except Seismic said it was like a I-shaped structure or lowercase l.
Sure.
That's all I got.
All right, and then that's it. And then I guess we'll find out tonight in the United States and next Sunday in Canada.
Yeah, I'm excited
and
for tonight.
else times around the world.
Else times around the world.
So that is the episode, and we liked it a lot. I give it 10 out of 10.
Oh, 10 out of 10. It would be an 11 out of 10 if I just saw like a ship come out of there or something. But I really enjoyed it. I think it was the most intense episode yet this season. I get a feeling the finale will be, which is the 27th, I believe, if I remember correctly. So it's coming quick.
It's coming quick.
Yeah, a couple more weeks.
Yeah. So yeah, that's exciting. And what else we got? okay, so we have Oak Island not trivia. We have Oak Island pregame tonight.
Yes.
And that's at facebook.com/OakIslandPodcast. And excuse me.
You okay?
Yeah. It'll be at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Be there or be square.
Or be T square. That's the next episode.
Is it called Be There or T Square?
I think so.
Yeah.
Be there or T square.
Yeah, there you go.
So be there or T square, our dear friends.
Yes.
Of course, you can find us on social media. We already mentioned the Facebook, Instagram at Oak Island Podcast, Twitter at Oak Island Pod. You can email us at OakIslandPodcast.com.
No, it's OakIslandPodcast@gmail.com. You pulled it.
What
you
did
pulled
I
a
say?
me. You said OakIslandPodcast.com.
Oh, that's weird.
You can find
That's
us
our
at
website
OakIslandPodcast.com.
that needs updating.
You can even go to YouTube.com/OakIslandPodcast.
Yeah, we're there too. We're at all the places.
We are. I would like to read a review.
Does my ears deceive me? Tell me
1 star.
No,
I'm
not
just kidding.
again.
No, I'm just kidding. It's 5 stars. Okay.
I do not have the capacity for that right now.
No, but if you want to make Deidre smile and you haven't reviewed us somewhere, please go and review us on Apple Podcasts or on Facebook. Please. All right. And this because it'll make Deidre smile, and we like to see her smile. All right. So this is from HHS HD HD HJD IAOD. I can't pronounce that.
That's a lot of HDs.
Yeah. I think they just like ran their fingers across the keyboard.
Maybe
quickly,
not.
But maybe it means something cool. I don't know. All right. You ready for this? It says,
I'm ready.
Great podcast. Okay.
I like it.
It says, my dad loves the show. This podcast is very interesting and fun to listen to.
Aw.
I love how the speakers engage with the show. They really know what they're talking about, and their passion is refreshing and exciting. Keep up the great work.
Aw.
Thank you so much, HHS HD HD HJD IAOD.
Thank you. No, that was really sweet.
It was great.
Oh, and I love that your dad loves the show. Love to your dad.
Yes, absolutely.
Tell him if he listens.
Please.
Well, he would listen, right? If he's
Well, I don't know. They might say that their dad loves the Curse of Oak Island, and then this person, HHS HD yada yada, is a fan of the podcast. But maybe they both are.
With
Shout
their
out to both of
powers
you.
combined.
Yeah, sure. So thank you so much for that. And like we said, one more time, yeah, go give us a 5-star review. It would warm our hearts.
It would. Like, oh, that was so sweet. They even called us refreshing.
Well, like a Gatorade or something.
Like
right?
a Gatorade? Isn't it a cool drink of water? Isn't that supposed to be? It's like when Jack really needed it when he was digging that hole, and he's like, "You can have some water when you're done digging." And he's like, "Yes, please."
When you're done digging your own grave, you can have a glass of water. 1 glass, Jack. Just kidding.
So messed up, and it's brackish.
Yeah, it's directly from the swamp. That's all the water you get. I don't care if it tastes like sulfur.
I hope they have like life straws on standby for, in case you have to drink the brackish water. At least you'd get some filtration. Maybe we should send them knee pads and life straws.
I don't even know what a life straw is.
We have them.
What is it?
They're like so you can drink out of the streams and like not die from contaminants.
Oh, I would be fine. I'm not worried about that kind of thing.
Okay. You don't, never mind.
All right. So are we done?
We are done. So thank you everybody for listening. We look forward to seeing you tonight.
Oh yeah, girl.
And
bingo.
And until next time.
They're everywhere. They're everywhere.
Sorry. I got button happy.
And until next time.
Could it be?
Have a good night, guys. Or day. Have a good day.
Bingo.